Good morning and namaste to all. Let's do our prayers. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhu Bhuva Swaha, Tat Savitra Vareneyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Dhiyo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Asto Ma Satgamya, Tamso Ma Jyotirgamya, मृत्योर्मा अमृतम गम्य ओम सहना भवतु सहना भुनक्तु सवीर्यं कर्वावहि तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहि ओम शांति 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 ओ. This Wednesday's classes we've been talking about sadhana and especially the sadhana Panchakam by Adi Shankaracharya ji. And I told you that there are 5 verses, and each week we go through either a full verse or a part of the verse, and each verse has 8 parts to it. So in a way, 8 very specific directions how to do the sadhana. And altogether in 5 verses, there are 40 directions. So don't feel overwhelmed by it. Oh my God, there are 40, how I'm going to do it? Make a list of it as we are going along and pay attention to it. Are you following these guidelines or not properly? See, ultimately by learning this, we got to see whether we are doing sadhana properly or not. Are we doing sadhana superficially? And then after a while we say there's no result. So that's why we got to know this information. So let me go through the 16 steps we have already gone through. And if anybody has a question, we can talk about it. But then I'm going to move on to the 3rd verse and step number 17. So in the first step, he said, study the Vedas daily. Are we studying them daily? Okay. Not just this class alone. On your own, are you studying? Are you opening your Bhagavad Gita? Or not every day? Have a little area in your house. That is your study time. Pay attention to it. Just like we sit down and eat. We do so many other chores all day long. Study also. Take it seriously. Then he says, perform the duties ordained by what you have learned. Because if you have studied the Vedas, you studied Bhagavad Gita, are you doing your duties according to that or not? These are the first 2 steps. Then he says, dedicate all your duties as worship of the Lord. So that means remember God when you're doing your duties. Doesn't matter what your duty is, just remember God when you're doing it. Step 4. Let the desire prompted activities be given up. So that means your own selfish desire, kamanai, reduce them. That is also part of the sadhana. Step 5. Let the multitude of sins, pap ogha paridhuyatam, be uprooted. No sinful activities. And if we have studied the Vedas, only then we'll know what is sinful. Vedas say don't hurt anybody, don't steal, don't be jealous, don't have anger. All those things are said in the Vedas very clearly. So step 5 is uproot all those flaws from your personality. Then step 6 is reflect upon inherent limitations of worldly pleasures. Because our senses are drawn towards a worldly pleasure all the time. What can I eat? What can I see? What can I have? Where can I go? There is an inherent limitation in there. He says, reflect upon it. Number 7. Atma Ichha Vyavasitam. Entertain desire for knowing the self. All our life, we have been just putting so much energy into knowing what is outside. How much attention we put in to know ourselves, because that is the real thing we are here for. Atma Icha. If I am the Atma, I should have the Icha to know myself. Instead of running here and there. Then number 8, as soon as desire for self-knowledge arises, leave the house quickly. That means the bondages. Cultivate the detachment, mental detachment. He's not asking us to run away from homes, run away from the duties, but internally detach yourself. Just look at it. This is just one verse. The first verse. If we do this sadhana, can you remember? Can you just to see what can happen to us? Then verse 2, he said, see, after preparing yourself, then he says, seek the company of a wise person. Because only then, when we are in the company of a wise person, if our mind is prepared, what the wise person is saying will make any difference. Otherwise, we'll go and argue with the wise person too. We'll waste his time. Sure, our time, but his time too. Then number 10, we learned that cultivate steady devotion to Lord. Bhakti drida. So we have a devotion for God, but we have a very superficial devotion. We go to God to fulfill our desires. But bhakti, bhagavato bhakti drida. Step number 11, cultivate the qualities sham, dam, etc. Okay, there's a series of those qualities. You're all familiar with sham, dam, titiksha, uprati, shraddha, samadhan, mumukshutvam. All those qualities we need to cultivate. And this is what we talked about, and we have been talking about in other scriptures also. Then step 12, quickly give up for good desire prompted actions. So that means they could be good actions, but they are because of the selfish desire. I want to do seva so that I am recognized. So action is good, but the motive behind is selfish. So dridtaram karmashu samatyajatam. Then he says, number 13, approach a wise person who is capable of unfolding the truth of Vedas. That means find a guru. We make so much effort to finding other relationships. But the most important relationship in life is a relationship with the guru. That is the relationship which is eternal. Other relationships are all temporary. So that's why we need to pay some attention to it. Do we have a guru or not? Mothers and fathers, we had many. Brothers, sisters, we had many. Husbands, wives, we have many. Friends, countless. Guru, once you have a guru, that relationship, guru will not let you go your hand until you reach your goal, which is liberation. He says, approach a wise man who's capable of unfolding the truth. That's it. Only a guru can do that. Then he says, step number 14, serve the paduka of your guru. That means cultivate more and more faith, cultivate more and more humility in you. Paduka of guru. My Gurudev Ji, he came here when he inaugurated this ashram in 1992. I still remember that day. After 3 months, he was leaving, and I was in that airport, O'Hare airport. He was leaving. I kept looking at him. That was a time when we could go closer to the gate. Kept looking at his feet. Still remember that the pangs of separation in my heart were so much. I thought, I'm going to die today. I didn't tell anybody, but that was the feeling. When I came back home, what did I find? Right in my mandir room, he left his sandals for me. They were sitting right there in the mandir room. That was the indication to me that I am supposed to serve him. Same thing he did after a few years. When our Guru Mataji, she left the body. We are 7 brothers, sisters. After all the sanskars, he called all 7 of us. He gave her shoes to each one of us. Not her jewelry, not her clothes, not any inheritance. He said, these are the padukas. Try to follow the footsteps of this yogini. That's how important serving the sandals or the padukas of a guru is. I personally get direction from that. And when I read these words written by Adi Shankaracharya ji, and they were followed by these gurus also, and we think that we should not follow it, that who's the loser? We are the loser. So it's a very clear direction for us. Serve the sandals. And another key word over here, pratidinam. It's not only on the Guru day. It's not only on Sunday. It's not only on your birthday. It's not only on your Diksha day. It's a pratidinam. Serve the paduka of your Guru daily. Then in step number 15, he says, ask the Guru to unfold knowledge of Brahma. That is one. Brahma ek aksharam, which is beyond destruction. Ek aksharam. He says, ask about that. Please, my Guru, my Gurudev. We don't even say Guru alone. Tradition is that we always say Gurudev. Give me this kind of a knowledge. I don't care whether my business is going to run properly or not. My body is going to last for a few more decades. My kid's going to get married or not. Doesn't matter. I just want the knowledge of the Brahma Gurudev. Because I don't have it yet. Gita says God is everywhere. How come I don't see God? Then number 16, we learned Shruti Shiro Vakyam Samakarnetam. Listen properly to the Mahavakyas of the Upanishads. And we talked about those 4 Mahavakyas. Pragya Nam Brahm Tattvam Asi Ayam Atma Brahm Aham Brahmasmi. Mahavakyas. Okay, so up to this point, we discussed in detail in the last few classes. So now let me go through start at least the verse number 3. But any question before we move on? Okay. Step number 17 is Vakya Arthascha Vicharya Tam. Vakya Arth means meaning of the commandments of the Upanishads. Vakya Artha. So basically what he's saying, the Mahavakyas, the earth of the Mahavakyas, Vicharyatam, reflect upon them. So analyze the meanings of Mahavakyas. So whatever he said in step number 16, he says, analyze it. Because this outer world is experienced through sense perception and inference, right? Anuman or pratyaksha. But self is not available for sense perception. Self or the Atma or Paramatma is not something physical. We cannot see it, we cannot touch it, we cannot hear it. For self-knowledge, the scriptures is the Paraman. Guru's words are the Paraman. Scriptures, they reveal self-knowledge through Shabda. So there is an implied meaning in those words. We really cannot take a direct meaning from them. It's not a literal meaning, but there is a Lakshya Artha. Okay, so that's why we need to analyze them. We need to contemplate on them. We cannot say that, oh, God said that, Upanishad said, Aham Brahmasmi, so I must be Brahma. But which part of me is really Brahma? Is body Brahma? We are talking about that. Is my ego there? So we got to analyze it properly. So Upanishad's teachings are in the form of Guru and Shishya dialogue. And they unfold through various methodologies, which are called prakriyas. When we study the scriptures, like Vivek Chudamani, one of the parikriya he gave us, Panchakosha negation. That was a prakriya. I'm not the physical body, I'm not the Anme Kosh, I'm not the Pranme Kosh, I'm not the Manome Kosh, I'm not the Vigyanme Kosh. That's called a prakriya. And then there is a avasthatraya. That's also another way. Teacher teaches us. That's also a methodology or prakriya. These are 3 states of consciousness. They keep on changing. It cannot be me. So paying attention to these, because these 3 states of consciousness is what? Waking, dream, and deep sleep. So prakriya is analyzing it, thinking it through. Not just taking the word of a guru, but reflecting upon it, and if there's any doubt, have a little dialogue with the guru. That's a prakriya. Because at the heart of the Upanishadic teaching is what? The nature of self-knowledge. And what does that reveal to us? That we are free. We don't get free. In a future time, we are free. We just don't know yet. We are free. Because we are all seeking freedom. We want to be free from our wants and needs. Currently, we feel unlimited. Or limited, I should say. Even though we are unlimited, but we feel limited. We feel imperfect. We feel incomplete. And that's why we feel frustrated with ourselves. Because if we recognize ourselves to be unlimited, then what is the frustration? So Upanishadic teaching takes us from limited being, which is wrong perception, to the right perception that we are already whole, complete, and limitless. This is what Guru teaches us. Guru says, do the sadhana, you will experience it. But in order to understand the teachings, we need to inquire or have vichar. Vichar. So instead of right away questioning the Upanishads, we need to understand the knowledge that is revealed. So that's why he said, analyze. Vakya arthasya vicharyatam. This vichar really means that. Do the vichar on that. Reflect upon it. Not the way you reflect upon the worldly objects. You need to reflect upon the self through these prakriyas. Okay, so step number 18. Shruti shiraha pakshaha samashriyatam. Shruti shiraha paksha. Shruti is again the scriptures, the primary scriptures. So what do they tell primary scriptures? The truth of Brahm. Samashriyatam, take refuge or follow. So in simple language, it means follow the line of arguments of the Shruti. Okay? Shrutis are telling us that. Because we follow wrong perception due to our ignorance of Vidya. We normally see that world is different from me. Lord is different from me. And we just come up with the conclusion that there is always a war between me and the others. Me against the others. But Upanishads don't say that. Shruti, what does it say? I, the individual, the world, and the Lord is not different. There is a oneness. Say non-dual Brahma. That is the essence of me, the world and the Lord. Brahma. Whatever differences I perceive is only my own delusion. In reality, there's no difference. So that's why Upanishads, they teach us how to really get to this. This truth that I'm not just the body. I'm not the mind. I'm not the intellect. I am something beyond body, mind, and intellect. I am Sat Chit Ananda. And this happens through constant Shravanam. Right? Shravan, got to read, hear the Shrutis. Then reflect upon it, Mananam. Because when we reflect upon it, the doubts which have been lodged into our mind, we can unlodge those. Doubt. And then we can come to the right understanding of the truth or reality. So this is what he's saying in this. So there is a lot of overlap over here. So that's why I said, if you want to make your own notes and see what is doable for you, do that. But this is, we are going through the steps according to Adi Shankaracharya ji. Follow the line of arguments of the Shruti. Then number 19. Do tarkat su viryabhyatam. Do tarkat. See, do means bad, perverse. So wrong arguments. Do tarak. Tarak means arguments. Su viryabhyatam. Avoid. Or refrain. So refrain from distorted reasoning. Distorted reasoning means which is opposed to the vision of the scriptures. Refrain from it. Don't take your mind towards that. There are 6 systems of philosophy or darshans from that great land. Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, and Vedanta. They all teach actually basically the same thing. Because at the end, there's only one. But our experience is duality. And why do we see the duality? Because it's a habitual error. We just keep on questioning our beliefs. Instead of analyzing the Shrutis, we just keep on talking about the doubts. We just pay so much importance to the doubts that doubts look real to us. Wherever there's a contradiction between my understanding and the Upanishads, we need to only question our wrong conclusion. So that means have a faith in the words of the scriptures, question your own wrong conclusion, and try to understand with any one of those philosophies what Upanishads are saying. Because everybody has a different kind of a mindset. So our Vedic seers, they said, yes, it's okay to have a different kind of a mindset. But ultimately, you are going to reach at the same place. So use the vehicle which you have and keep on moving towards the goal. So Upanishads, they are the valid means of knowledge, but Upanishads cannot be, we cannot really dissect Upanishads or understand the deeper philosophy of the Upanishads ourselves. That's why a guru is the medium. And in order to learn from guru, we need to have Shraddha. So we need both the guru and the scriptures. Because no guru will say, this is my philosophy. Guru says, this is the Vedic philosophy. All I'm doing is conveying it to you. That's what Guru says. There's no new philosophy. Even that's why I said these 6 philosophies also, if you really try to understand it, the crux is the same. They all say that we are the Atma, no different than the Paramatma, and ultimately, whether this way or that way, we will reach there. Okay. So distorted reasonings, questions like why God created this world. Some people even say, why? Was God lonely? He wanted to have fun? I've heard these questions too. If God is one, why there are so many gods? Instead of having those kind of questions, try to put the energy into understanding the deeper philosophical implication of those Mahavakyas with the help of the scriptures. When it comes to material science, we don't question. When somebody says 1 + 1 is 2, we don't question. When somebody says write A like this, we don't question. We don't even question when we get any kind of a news on our TV far away or on the radio. We don't question. We haven't seen it. We just believe it. But we just like to question God, God's creation, this knowledge. There are people who have the belief that there is no God, and they use this belief to justify their actions and behaviors. Remember that. We don't want to be one of those. That there's no God, there's no higher power. Because if you're students of this self-perfection, you have to believe in that higher power. Only then we'll move towards that. We definitely need to use our skills in logic, reason, grammar. We need to use those. Those are the skills needed. But skills needed to do what? If I have a screwdriver or a hammer, I can either construct something with it or I can destroy. Do we want to really destroy with our powerful reasoning and the logic? Or do we want to construct a better behavior, a better life to live? So this is what he's saying, refrain from distorted reasoning opposed to the vision of scriptures. That's what it really means, this step number 19. Okay, refrain from distorted reasoning. I would say even move away from the people who don't believe in this ultimate truth. because sooner or later you'll be convinced there's no God. But to protect ourselves, protect our buddhi. It doesn't take long for this buddhi or the intelligence in us to get distorted. There is in Punjabi, they say, buddhi is called budh. Budh and dudh. Dudh means milk. They say it doesn't take that long to go bad. Milk, you put a little drop of vinegar in there or lemon in there, what happens to it? The same thing happens to our intellect also. Refrain from distorted reasoning. Number 20. Shruti matsarkaha anusandhyetam. Shruti mattarkaha. The discriminative rationale of the Shruti. Anusandhyetam means resort to or follow. So he says, resort to the reasoning in keeping with the vision of the Shruti. See, now you see how important it is to study Shrutis or the Vedas daily. Because if you don't know what Shruti is saying, what Vedas are saying, what Gita is saying, then how can we do our sadhana? We got to be very clear about it, what Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. About tap also, about food also, about dan also, about swadhyaya also. We should know that. It should be on the tips of our hand. Only then we can resort to the reasoning in keeping with the vision of the Shruti. So Upanishads teach us, again I would say, Brahm is one without the second. That's why it says Brahm is Satya. And world is not. World really means this perceptive world. The Maya, the Prakriti. Prakriti keeps on changing. It's almost like all ornaments. You can just mold them and remold them. You can make them sometimes bangles and sometimes you can make the necklace or the earrings. Different things you can make with the gold, but gold is a sat. Or another examples, Gurus give us the clay. Clay is a sat. The different kind of pots are a sat. So manifested world depends upon Brahm for its existence. But at our level, we give reality to the world. We are so attached to the names and the forms. That's why Upanishads give us example after example. That world of names and forms is not real. It's unreal. Because they depend upon the Brahm, which is Sat. And when we start to identify ourselves with the forms and the names, we do feel limited. And this all feeling of limited is ignorance, avidya. We start taking ourselves just as a body or this gender, this color, this height, this name. It all seems very limited to us. And we get afraid also. So that's why Upanishads use that Panchakam, the 5 sheets, or the avastha-traya, 3 states of consciousness, to show us our one changeless self as the substratum of our existence. Okay? So those prakriyas which we learned earlier in the earlier classes, they are all for that. That Panchakam meditation I think last year we recorded a class on that, Panchakam meditation. Try to use that meditation sometimes. Sitting in the meditation, taking your attention towards the Anmekosh, then go deeper into the Pranmekosh, then deeper into the Manomekosh, then even deeper into the Vigyanmekosh, then still deeper into the Anandmekosh, and ultimately find yourself. You are there. You're not bringing yourself from somewhere. You are there. But we have never said hello to ourselves. So in that meditation, all you are doing is using this Panchakosha Prakriya. Try that sometimes. Very powerful way. For half an hour, you'll be sitting and you wouldn't even know that half an hour you've been meditating. Upanishadic knowledge can be understood only by a shishya, the student, who has made his or her mind purified and prepared. Otherwise, Upanishads, that knowledge of the Upanishads does not sink in. Mind has to be ready for that. That's why there is a lot of emphasis on purity of the mind through Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga helps us to purify the mind. Karam we all do, but if we are doing the Karam, it could be a very good Karam, but we are doing it because I am doing it and I want this result. You are not purifying yourself. Purification happens when we are doing the Karam selflessly, skillfully, lovingly, faithfully. That's a Karma Yoga. And remembering God faithfully really means remembering God while we are doing it. Next step, Brahm Smriti Vibhayatam. Brahm Smriti means I am a Brahma. Vibhayatam means constantly think. Just like constantly we are thinking about that I am the body. I need to lose weight. I need to gain weight. I need to do this. I need to do that. Constantly we are obsessed by it. He says, become obsessed. I am Brahma. So entertain constantly the thought, I am Brahma. Because even after gaining some knowledge, sure, it's an intellectual knowledge that I am Brahma. Habitual identification with the body, mind, and intellect can still be there. The minute somebody says to us something about our body, we react habitually because this is what you're used to. So that's why he says constantly, just entertain this thought. Because we have lived in this false notion, I am the body. Look at my mind. Look at how smart I am. For so long, not only in this lifetime, we have been living like this for countless lifetimes. Because mind and intellect and the ego, they travel with us. Whatever we did in the last life, the kind of a work we did on the mind, we brought that kind of a mind. That's why two babies are different. Two identical twins are different in their behaviors, in their mental capacity, in their intellectual thinking. What other proof do we need to know? It's right in front of us. If everybody started from ground zero, then we can say that, yeah, in this lifetime, what parents did, what somebody did, we see the clarity there. No. Same two people. In the same family, twins, identical twins, altogether different. We brought a very big package with us, which is called a subtle body and a causal body. This is what scriptures tell us. Having faith in it is very important. Otherwise, we won't move forward. So we have lived in the false notion that I am the body, I have such a mind and the intellect for so long. We got to end that. Deep-rooted identification requires alertness. It's not going to go away by itself. If you are not alert, you'll be in the same rut. It's like if I don't change my habits, I cannot expect a different future. And change can happen, especially some of the sanskars which are so strong, we need to be very alert. Tomorrow we are going to talk about sanskaras. So today, if you I don't have much idea about it, so tomorrow's class. Okay. So in order to change these sanskaras, we got to be extremely alert. So if the identification with body, mind, and intellect is there, the knowledge that I am Brahm will never bless us. We can say all we want, it will almost be like a parrot repeating Ram, Ram. Need to abide in the awareness that I am Brahm and not the limited body, mind, intellect, equipment. This is what this Brahm Smriti Vibhayatvam means. More and more awareness, alertness that I am Brahm, I am Atma. And if I am that, others are that too. There's no fear, no reason to be afraid, no reason to be jealous, no reason to run away from anybody or go towards anybody. So this is what we need to keep in mind. So this was verse number 3, step number 21. So we are going to stop it here and then start with the step number 22 next time. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. Thank you very much.